now, all-time in home game twos. Last loss, the only loss, 2024 in the Western Conference Finals versus the Mavericks. And yeah, Warriors did not have enough firepower in this one. Jay McDaniels also, you didn't see in that highlight, he was great on both ends for this team. The T-Wolves tie the series up at 1 game apiece. Time now to bring in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder and CBS Sports NBA analyst John Gonzalez. And y'all, sometimes it just comes down to making a whole lot more threes than you did in a previous game. 16 threes in this one compared to 5 in game 1. But if there was one area, John, I'll start with you, that you really liked the difference from the T-Wolves approach, what would it be from game 2?
Well, yeah, I mean, making some shots is a good place to start, right? I mean, they couldn't have been worse in game 1 where they didn't have any threes in the first half of game 1. You have to go back 7 years to find a game like that for the Wolves. And then tonight, they all shot the ball well. I mean, 50% from the floor, 43% from 3. That bench unit, the 3-man bench unit that they run regularly, Nas, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and Dante DiVincenzo combined for 10 threes. And then outside of the shooting, I think they're just happy to get past that scare with Ant, right? I mean, for Ant to go down, first series against LeBron fell on him. LeBron's obviously a massive human being, and there was a big scare on his ankle then. And then tonight it was Trace Jackson-Davis who landed on him, and everybody held their breath, and he went back into the locker room, and he was questionable, and then all of a sudden he comes out like Superman in the second half, and he looks really good. I mean, he didn't look limited to me at all, and he played 34 minutes. So if you're Chris Finch and the Wolves, you feel great about that, and you feel great about evening up the series.
Yeah, John, for me, it's all about Anthony Edwards. First and foremost, the fact that he's healthy, because I think all of us, even Steph Curry, we saw that shot, sort of held our breath when he went to the locker room. It felt like, oh, we're going to lose another superstar and have a series where if neither of these guys are healthy, we're not even sure who's winning, but whoever advances has no chance unless that guy comes back against the Thunder. And it's nice to see that not just go away, but to have Ant come out, gut it out, play on that, wobbly ankle, and looks like he can continue. And also, he didn't take a lot of shots, guys. I think he took 13 shots and hit 6 of them. I think he was 2 for 4 from the three-point line. So if I'm Chris Finch, I want Anthony Edwards to be a lot more aggressive and to take a lot more shots going forward. But he hit a couple of those threes late. He started to hit some shots. He got some offense going. So you want him healthy. You also just want him confident. This is one of the most prolific. He was the most prolific three-point shooter in the NBA this past season, in the regular season. He's a catalyst for their offense. And even though they're here, he hasn't been great offensively for a pretty good run of games. So I think it's also just important as a change, and hopefully a change going forward for Minnesota, that Anthony Edwards, a little bit at the end, started to look like Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, one of the things that struck me, about his play, even in the game 1, right, was his inability to finish, right, at the cup. We've seen him do it time after time. And in both games, he just hasn't been able to finish. He's complained about fouls. Some of them are touch fouls. And as dominant, as strong as Anthony Edwards is, you got to cut that out. I know you're probably getting fouled sometimes, but other times you just got to play through it. Going forward, I know you guys touched on it, but are you concerned at all about his production and maybe that ankle holding him back, John? Because for some of that second half, I felt like he was just waiting in the corner. He was facilitating, not trying to do too much, maybe perhaps because of that ankle.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I mean, I still thought that he looked pretty good movement-wise. And in game 1, his shot wasn't falling. Nobody was shooting the ball well. But Bill and I talked about this on the pod. What I did like about it was that he changed his approach, Chris. And we have seen, in other series, for example, the Celtics, Jason Tatum, superstars just settling for their jump shot. That was part of the game plan. But sometimes you have to adjust, right? Your shot isn't falling. Get to the rim, especially when you're so much bigger, quicker, and stronger and more athletic than the opposition, the defender that's on you. And I thought did that in game 1, and tonight at least he tried to do that a little bit. Maybe he was a little bit slowed, but to my eye it looked like he was okay. So I just thought it was encouraging, 1, that he was out there, and 2, that he was even trying to drive. When the shot isn't falling, that's a positive for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always a little more negative than John, so I will lean in a little bit to the worry, Chris. We're going to see what's going to happen. And John referenced Jason Tatum. You also have Donovan Mitchell, who hasn't been shooting well, but has been a lot more aggressive at sort of playing downhill and getting to the rim. And we've had a series of stars who have just been a little bit off over the course of this postseason and the round that we're in. I am a little worried about Anthony Edwards. Not a lot, not significantly. It certainly helps, or the worries aren't as important when Steph and Curry can't play. But I want him taking 18, 19, 20 shots. I want him to keep shooting. I want him to get to the rim. And I think what you said is a really good point, Chris, about him complaining over and over and over again about the fouls. Much of the contact, and they talked about this in the broadcast, Maybe there are fouls in November when you're playing Utah on a Wednesday. This is playoff basketball. And the thing about Anthony Edwards is he's been to the conference finals. He is. I know he's 23, but he's not a veteran, but we know he's a capable player in this moment. He should know what this means. And so to me, the complaining is an extension of the fact that for whatever reason, that swagger that's been a part of his excellence, that confidence that sort of defines him at an early age, it's just not there. You've seen it in some of his passive play. You've seen it in his inability to finish. You've seen it in really until tonight being ice cold with his jumper, especially from three. And I think you see it in complaining to the refs about fouls that aren't fouls or fouls that aren't playoff fouls. He'll probably figure it out, but he's just not right yet. And I think that's a fact so far in this series.
Yeah, he's not right yet, and yet, you still know there's going to be more production out of him just based on the history and how we've seen Ant respond in games where they really need him. Now, when it comes to Steph Curry, right, we aren't going to know anything about his availability until next week, where the Warriors could theoretically be down 3-1. On this night, I felt like Jimmy Butler needed to be more aggressive. He was efficient, but just felt like he wasn't, that Heat Jimmy Butler that we've seen. What did you see from the Warriors Thursday night without him, John? And what adjustments should they make for Game 3 going forward?
Well, I mean, game one, when he went out, Draymond was the facilitator. He was knocking down shots. He hit 4 threes. It's been 8 years since he had 4 threes in a playoff game. I didn't expect that to continue, the shooting at least, and it didn't tonight. And also, Jimmy Butler, you're absolutely right. He had 17 points. Not enough, right? I mean, you need him to go supernova without Steph Curry out there, and you're not going to have Steph Curry for game 3 for sure, probably for game 4 as well. So you have to keep this team afloat. If you're Jimmy, this is the reason why they went out there and got you. And so far, so good on that front, but just not enough offensively. And then Draymond as well. Draymond has to keep his head on his shoulders. I mean, tonight, he was distracted early on where he threw that elbow on Nas, and then you saw Steph and Jimmy and Steve Kerr trying to calm him down. They had to take him out of the game. And this is like all a giant distraction that you cannot have when you're trying to put the Wolves up against the wall and go up 2-0, just like 2 other teams have done on the road to start this second round of the playoffs. And Draymond, I don't know, man. He's got 5 technicals and 2 flagrants. If he gets 2 more of either of those, he's going to end up being suspended. You cannot have that when you don't have Steph Curry out there. You need Draymond locked in and focused, and you need full Jimmy Butler as well. So those 2 guys really got to step it up in game 3.
John, you're not wrong about Draymond Green, but my time in Dubuque, Iowa, listening to Cat FM radio with Dr. Laura taught me people don't change. That's the only thing that she ever said that stuck with me. So you're right. That's who Draymond is. Chris, I'm with you. The bigger issue to me is Dr. Laura. She is an issue, but that's a whole other conversation. The biggest issue is Jimmy Butler. He's got, I mean, and you already said it. He has to take over the game. Now, I'll say this. Tim Doyle in pregame made a prediction that turned out to be spot on that I thought was really interesting from a former player's perspective. And that was he thought the Warriors were going to go out there, be fairly passive, not have a great game, already got one, and look to playing these games in Golden State. Because the reality, I think, is with Steph's injury and the fact, as you mentioned, as we don't know when Steph's coming back. I think the actual realistic goal for the Warriors, what you tried to do is going into tonight's game, you try to win one of the next 3 games. If it can get to 2-2, if you can extend and push back the window for Steph Curry, if you can create a situation where either he can come back and he's able to go when it's 2-2, or you can at least push off a little bit in elimination game to give him more time if he's not right. I think that's the goal. So, yes, Draymond's got to control himself. It's never going to happen, but he needs to. It was amazing to see Jonathan Kuminga have a game that, John, you're not a Kuminga guy. It's like the first time I wanted to text you, like, Kuminga, I knew he could do it.
I know.
But really, it's about Jimmy Butler taking over games. It wasn't, I think, going to be this game. They need to win one of the games in Golden State and do everything they can to just try to push that window back for the absolute last-ditch moment when Steph has to play. If, in fact, we don't know the timeline is a little bit later the next Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill climb for the Warriors. Only shot 28% from 3. And like you guys said, Jimmy Butler has to be in Superman form. He has to take over the role of Batman, okay? Steph is out. So now it's your time to reclaim what you did with the Miami Heat.
Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh YouTube của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ làm một chiếc video là tô màu những sản phẩm, hoa quả, con vật, đồ vật, vân vân. Nếu các bạn chưa biết sản phẩm gì đúng không thì hãy xem hết video và để lại một cái like và một lượt subscribe để mình có thể tiếp tục động lực ra video nhé. Và bây giờ các bạn hãy xem hết video để biết đó là sản phẩm gì nhé. Bây giờ các bạn cùng mình đi tô màu nào.
Mình sẽ phải chi tiết tô màu. nè. Tôi khỏe nè. Đấy. Mẹ cứ trôi ra quay gần. Đừng nói để con không học được. Câu này